The March 17th, 2025 regular session meeting of the Cinnaminson Township Committee is now called to order. Everyone, please rise and join me in saluting the flag. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
This meeting is being held in accordance with the Open Public Meetings Act, Public Law 1975, Chapter 231. Notice of this meeting was published in the Burlington County Times and the Courier Post on January 10th, 2025. Roll call, please, Madam Secretary.
Yes, Mayor. Mr. Conda.
Here.
Mr. McGill.
Here.
Mr. Segrest.
Here.
Deputy Mayor Horner.
Here.
Mayor Craybill.
Present.
Thank you.
Okay, we'll move to committee liaison reports. We'll start with Committee Member Conda for Administration and Health and Senior Services.
This evening I have nothing to report, Madam Mayor.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Conda. Committee Member Segrest, Public Works.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I have a couple of things. Remington and Vernick, our township engineer. Just a quick note from them about the Fork Landing Road Bridge reconstruction. Their office is in receipt of the construction plans prepared by Taylor, Wiseman, and Taylor for the reconstruction of Fork Landing Road, the bridge. I'm sorry, not just the road, Fork Landing Road Bridge. This is scheduled to begin sometime in early summer, late spring, early summer 2025. I do have a couple more items. Brush collection 2025 has started. Crews are currently collecting in Section 3. DPW will be collecting both brush and leaves in April. Piles must be separate from one another and at least 10 feet away from storm drains. Leaves and brush mixed together will not be collected as they are recycled at two different facilities. One last thing, DPW's Spring Annual Cleanup Day is scheduled for Saturday, April 26th from 8 a.m. to noon at the Public Works facility. That concludes my report, Madam Mayor.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Segrest. Committee Member McGill for Public Safety.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. The following is the monthly report for February 2025 for the Cinnaminson Township Police Department. Total incidents responded to, 2085. Total arrests made, 35. Total property checks made, 966. Total motor vehicle stops, 478. Total motor vehicle summons issued, 176. Total DWI arrests, 3. Morgan Cemetery calls, 53. Approved firearm permits, 2. Approved concealed carry permits, 2. And temporary handicap permits issued was 7. And that concludes my report, Madam Mayor.
Okay, thank you, Mr. McGill. Deputy Mayor Horner, Finance and Economic Development.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I have one item pertaining to finance, along with CFO Julie Edmondson, Administrator Eric Schubiger. We do anticipate introducing the 2025 budget at the second meeting in April. And that concludes my report for this evening.
Okay, thank you, Deputy Mayor. Okay, for Parks and Recreation, Cinnaminson Community Day will be scheduled for Saturday, May 17th at Wood Park from 12 p.m. to 3 p.m. This event will feature live music, food, and local community groups and businesses. The summer concert series is, the planning for this annual series is underway, and the concerts will begin on Thursday, July 10th, and will occur every Thursday through August. All concerts are at 7 p.m. at Wood Park. Garfield Park basketball courts, with the assistance of New Jersey Department of Community Affairs Local Recreation Improvement Grant, the basketball courts will be refurbished later this year. Pickleball courts, windscreens were recently installed at the new pickleball courts at Memorial Park for all those who partake in pickleball. Wood Park basketball courts, the township has applied for a grant through the New Jersey Department of Community Affairs Local Recreation Improvement Grant Program to refurbish the Wood Park basketball courts. Notice of awards are pending. Township fields, all fields are now open for organized play. Sports group leaders should contact contact Recreation Coordinator Christine Turner regarding field availability. Parks and Recreation Master Plan. The township is preparing to pursue a Parks and Recreation element in its master plan. The element will include an inventory of existing recreational resources such as fields, facilities, programs, and activities. The identification of need for recreational services and facilities will be end recommendations for action. The governing body will be working with our staff, professionals, and community stakeholders to accomplish this important work for our community. We're very excited about this planning goal, and I will routinely keep everyone updated on its progress. Just switching gears a little bit here, I would also be remiss if I did not, on behalf of the entire Township Committee, acknowledge that March is Women's History Month. Women play a critical economic, cultural, and social role in every sphere of life in Cinnaminson, particularly in the establishment of charitable and philanthropic causes in our community. In addition, women continue to serve important leadership roles throughout all levels of government and provide integral community programs and services through the creation and implementation of sound public policy. Cinnaminson is blessed to have great women serve in these roles, including our municipal clerk, Lisa Passione, and Chief Financial Officer, Julia Edmondson, who join us on this dais at every public meeting. Despite these contributions, the role of women has consistently been overlooked and undervalued in the literature leadership, teaching and study of American history, and is therefore fitting that we recognize these numerous accomplishments. The Township of Cinnaminson is proud to honor the stories, history, and contributions of women in our community and throughout our state and our nation. I ask that all of our residents to join me in honoring the many women who continue to make our community a great place to live and recognize that the month of March in Cinnaminson as Women's History Month. Okay, we have 3 ordinances up for public hearing this evening. Ordinance 2025-4, amending Chapter 405 of the Code of the Township concerning lead-based paint. May I have a motion to open public comment on Ordinance 2025-4?
Madam Mayor, I'll make that motion to open public comment on ordinance 2025-4.
Thank you, Mr. McGill. May I have a second?
I'll second that, Madam Mayor.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Segrist. Voice vote, please. Aye.
Aye.
Nays, abstentions? Okay, public comment is now open on ordinance 2025-4. Please come forward and state your name and address for the record. Okay, seeing no one come forward, I will make a motion to close public comment on ordinance 2025-4. May I have a second?
I'll second that, Madam Mayor.
Okay, voice vote, please. Aye.
Aye.
Nays, abstentions? Public comment is closed. May I have a motion to approve ordinance 2025-4?
Madam Mayor, I'll make a motion to approve ordinance 2025-4.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. May I have a second?
I'll second that, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Segrist. Roll call vote, please, Madam Secretary.
Yes, Mayor. Mr. Conduct.
Aye.
Mr. McGill.
Aye.
Mr. Seagrass.
Aye.
Deputy Mayor Horner.
Aye.
Mayor Craybill.
Aye.
Thank you.
Okay. Ordinance 2025-5, amending Chapter 265 relating to fees and specifically adding 265-29 relating to fees for lead-based paint inspections. May I have a motion to open public comment on ordinance 2025-5? Too many fives.
I'll make that motion, Madam Mayor.
Okay, thank you, Mr. McGill. May I have a second?
I'll second it.
Thank you, Mr. Segrist. Voice vote, please. Aye.
Aye.
Nays, abstentions. Public comment on ordinance 2025-5 is now open. Please come forward and state your name and address for the record. Okay, seeing no one come forward, may I have a motion to close public comment on ordinance 2025-5?
Madam Mayor, I'll make a motion to close public comment on ordinance 2025-5.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. I will second. Voice vote, please. Aye.
Aye.
Nays, abstentions. Public comment is closed. I will make a motion to approve ordinance 2025-5. May I have a second?
Go ahead.
I'll second that motion.
Thank you, Mr. Conda. Roll call vote, please, Madam Secretary.
Yes, Mayor. Mr. Conda.
Aye.
Mr. McGill.
Aye.
Mr. Seagrass.
Aye.
Deputy Mayor Horner.
Aye.
Mayor Craybill.
Aye.
Thank you.
Okay, ordinance 2025-6. Ordinance to exceed the municipal budget appropriation limits and to establish a cap bank. May I have a motion to open public comment on ordinance 2025-6?
Madam Mayor, I'll make a motion to open public comment on ordinance 2025-6, please.
Thank you, Mr. Seegers. May I have a second?
I'll second that motion.
Thank you, Mr. Conda. Voice vote, please. Aye.
Aye.
Nays, abstentions? Okay, public comment on ordinance 2025-6 is now open. Please come forward and state your name and address for the record. Okay, I will make a motion to close public comment on ordinance 2025-6. May I have a second?
Madam Mayor, I'll second that.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Voice vote, please. Aye.
Aye.
Nays, abstentions? Public comment is now closed. May I have a motion to approve ordinance 2025-6?
Madam Mayor, I'd like to make that I'll make that motion for ordinance 2025-6.
Thank you, Mr. McGill. May I have a second?
Madam Mayor, I'll second that.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Roll call vote, please, Madam Secretary.
Yes, Mayor. Mr. Conda.
Aye.
Mr. McGill.
Aye.
Mr. Seagrass.
Aye.
Deputy Mayor Horner.
Aye.
Mayor Craybill.
Aye.
Thank you.
Okay, moving on to the consent agenda. Resolution 2025-48, award of contract to Alimo Brothers General Contractors, Inc. for emergency repairs at the municipal building. Township engineer Remington and Vernick secured quotes for the replacement of support columns in the front of the municipal building. The lowest responsible quote was provided by Alino Brothers General Contractors, Inc. in the amount of $78,361. Chief Financial Officer, Purchasing Agent Julia Edmondson has determined that the necessary work meets the provisions of an emergency purchase, that sufficient funding is available for the purpose, and recommends authorizing by the governing body. Resolution 2025-49, approval of emergency operations plan. The Cinnaminson Township Emergency Operations Plan, EOP, is a collaborative document which establishes roles and responsibilities for township departments and community stakeholders during emergencies and disasters, and represents an extension of the New Jersey Office of Emergency Management Plan. The EOP addresses the township's planned response to extraordinary emergencies associated with natural or man-made disasters under an all-hazards approach. The goal of the plan is to identify the emergency management stakeholders required to mitigate any significant emergencies or disasters affecting the township, and to establish the operational concepts associated with field response and recovery processes. Emergency Management Coordinator Danny Norman coordinated local efforts to participate in the plan and recommends authorization by the governing body. Resolution 2025-50, authorize award of contract to General Foundries, Inc. through the state contract for stormwater bicycle safe grates. Public Works Superintendent Kevin Gaunt has recommended the purchase of stormwater bicycle safe grates in accordance with the township's NJDEP MS4 permit. After review by township professionals, it has been determined that the best available pricing is with state contract vendor General Foundries, Inc. in the amount of $27,711.25. Ms. Edmondson has determined that sufficient funding is available for the purpose and recommends that the governing body authorize the purchase. Then we have raffles for Cinnaminson Fire District. That's the end of our consent agenda. We'll open up public comment for the consent agenda items only. May I have a motion to open public comment on the consent agenda items only?
I'll make that motion, Madam Mayor.
I will second. Voice vote, please. Aye.
Aye.
Nays, abstentions. Public comment is now open for the consent agenda items only. Please come forward and state your name and address for the record.
Good evening, everyone. Renee Oler Davis, 2108 Hunter Street. I have a question about the emergency operations agenda. Does that include a plan for the area of East Riverton, including the railroad, because there is only one way in and out of that area if something happens with the railroad or there's a large fire or something? So that's my question. Does that include that?
Mayor?
Yes, please.
So the
You can go
plan
ahead
is
and
for
speak to
the entire municipality? Yes.
Okay. And is it possible for us to have neighborhood meetings in each area so that we know what we're supposed to do if there is such an emergency, extreme emergency like that?
Mayor, may I?
Yes.
So part of that plan is public outreach. So once it's adopted, our emergency management coordinator, one of his roles is to get that plan and the outreach started. I can speak with him, and as far as meetings, we'll certainly let you know how that's going to work. But
Thank
we
you.
certainly want the public to be aware in the event of a crisis or emergency, how we're going to operate.
Thanks a lot. I'd like for East Riverton to be first on the list.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, seeing no one else come forward, may I have a motion to close public comment on the consent agenda?
Madam Mayor, I'll make a motion to close public comment on the consent agenda.
Okay, thank you, Deputy Mayor. May I have a second?
I'll second that, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Segrist. Voice vote, please. Aye.
Aye.
Nays, abstentions. Okay, let's see. May I have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
Madam Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Thank you, Mr. McGill. May I have a second?
I'll second that.
Thank you, Mr. Conda. Roll call vote, please, Madam Secretary.
Yes, Mayor. Mr. Conda.
Aye.
Mr. McGill.
Aye.
Mr. Segrist.
Aye.
Deputy Mayor Horner.
Aye.
Mayor Crayville.
Aye.
Thank you.
Okay, moving on to approval of minutes. May I have a motion to approve the minutes of March 3rd, 2025?
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes as read, March 3rd, 2025.
Thank you, Mr. Conda. May I have a second?
I'll second that, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Segrist. Roll call vote, please, Madam Secretary.
Mr. Conda.
Aye.
Mr. McGill.
Aye.
Mr. Segrist.
Aye.
Deputy Mayor Crayville. Mayor Horner, I apologize.
Aye.
Mayor Crayville.
Abstain.
Thank you.
Okay, approval of the bills. May I have a motion to approve the bill list?
Madam Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to approve the bill list.
Thank you, Mr. McGill. May I have a second?
Madam Mayor, you got that?
Yeah, I got it.
You got it.
I'll second that, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Segrist. Roll call vote, please, Madam Secretary.
Mr. Conda.
Aye.
Mr. McGill.
Aye.
Mr. Segrist.
Aye.
Deputy Mayor Horner.
Aye.
Mayor Crayville.
Aye.
Thank you.
Okay, do we have any comments from our staff or professionals this evening?
Mayor, if I could just, one comment, please.
Please.
Regarding the EOP, and thank you for your comment and question, I just want to thank our emergency management coordinator, Danny Norman, for spearheading that. It's really important to have a plan in place. I think that's fairly obvious, but I think it's also a really good example of good government and different levels of government working together. Some of those operational plans come through the federal government, ultimately to the state, and then to the county of Burlington, and then, of course, here to Cinnaminson. So the people who are identified in that plan are a lot of employees, professionals, appointees who work within our community, and then it funnels back up to the other levels of government. And by adopting this tonight, and I thank the governing body for doing that, it enables us to have access to much-needed funding if and when necessary. So that's another reason that it's really important. But just a thanks to Danny Norman for overseeing that, and thanks to the governing body for approving it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Schubager. Anybody else? Okay. All right, let's move on to public comment. I will make a motion to open public comment. May I have a second?
I'll second that, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. McGill. Voice vote, please. Aye.
Aye.
Nays, abstentions? Public comment is open. Please come forward and state your name and address for the record.
Good evening. Jerry Hines, 808 Turner Avenue, Cinnaminson. I would like to just follow up on the question that I asked at our last meeting concerning the burned-out property on Union Landing Road to find out if there's been any progress in terms of finding out who owns that and what's going to be done about it, because we're getting toward warmer weather, children out and about, windows are open, the neighbors next door are using it to put bags and bags of trash in it. And I'm just wondering if there's anything further that we, can report about that.
Mayor, may I? Ms. Hines, thank you for bringing that up last meeting again. It certainly reminded us of the issue and moved us to discuss with appropriate staff. So there was an unsafe structures report that was filed on that property several months ago. There was some movement between the owner of record and a contractor that was going to take action. I recently learned that potential movement stalled, and without getting too much into detail in a public setting, we're aware of that now, and our construction official actually went out and reissued a new notice. And once that occurs, it gives our great counselor here the ability to take action if and when necessary. So he is now aware of it. I'm aware of it. Mr. Minton, after the meeting, took action immediately, and that's the update. And we realize it's definitely something that needs to be addressed. Unfortunately, I know you hear this from me and all of us here at the meetings. It is a process that we have to follow, or it comes back to us and costs people more money, which we don't want. But we are on it.
Understood. The next question I have is, when neighbors have a lot of stuff in their yards, I understand that, that people are able to store things and have things in their yards, but there is a particular neighbor that's adjacent to my property and to my neighbor who couldn't be here tonight, or she would have, who has a lot of stuff in the yard. I mean, there's, storing stuff, and then there's way overboard. We're talking toilets, full sinks, anything, you name it, it's there. I have pictures of it if anybody wants to see. And I mean, I think people are aware of it. I mean, as far back as when John Marshall was around, but it's gotten worse. And, we're really, we deserve to be able to live in a community where, next door doesn't look like that.
Mayor, can I continue? So it sounds like our staff may or may not be aware of. I see Mr. Minton nodding. So I was going to say, give me a call tomorrow with the address, or have someone note. We don't need that. So it sounds like we're going to pursue that right away.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Minton.
Last question.
Yes.
Has anybody reached out to C-Box concerning the letters facing outward into the community again?
I don't know the answer to that. Sorry to put you on the spot, Mr. Minton. I know you have regular. Mayor, I'm sorry. I'm totally going out of order here. Is that okay?
Mr. Schubager, we have reached out, and we're waiting to hear back from them when they're going to be able to
Okay.
swing them back around.
Okay. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Last minute as well.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Hines.
Douglas Sell, 104 Cuthbert Road, Cinnaminson. I'm here tonight because of the current fallout between the Recreation Advisory Board and the Cinnaminson Lacrosse Club. Without getting into the details from the last month and a half and trying to assign blame, I want to say this. As an observer and someone who spent almost a decade as an officer for the Cinnaminson Lacrosse Club and their president, I think there's blame to go around on both sides. Ultimately, and I believe this with all my mind and soul, The issues that we've seen between the Recreational Advisory Board and the lacrosse club are a symptom of something the committee had to have seen coming for at least a year now. On December 18th, 2023, approximately 15 months ago, I spoke to this committee in regards to their repeal of Chapter 97, our ordinance that creates and gives mandate to the Recreational Advisory Board. At that time, we discussed the issues with the Recreational Advisory Board and what could be done to remediate the issues. Keep in mind, the secretary, a paid employee of the township, and members of the Recreational Advisory Board had no idea about the repeal until a few days before that meeting. After about 30 minutes of public comment on December 18th, this committee showed true leadership by tabling that repeal. At the December 2023 meeting, I and others from the community suggested better communication with stakeholders, listening sessions, and amendments to Chapter 97 that would include a seat at the table for public safety, public works, and other organizations. We also established that only one of 6 members of the Recreational Advisory Board was an officer of an in-town sports organization. So what's been done over the last 15 months? I haven't heard of any amendments to Chapter 97. I haven't heard of any listening sessions to be held with the community and Parks and Rec. I'm not aware of any new members of the Recreational Advisory Board that represent members of youth sports programs in town. I did notice one change in the last 15 months. Recreational Advisory Board meetings are closed to the public. This is a stark change from years past. How can we as a community communicate with the Recreational Advisory Board when we are explicitly told do not attend monthly meetings? Friends, there is a lack of leadership within the Recreational Advisory Board. Fixing the Recreational Advisory Board doesn't require a repeal of an ordinance. Fixing the Recreational Advisory Board requires leadership. We need communication, but beyond emails and Facebook. We need new leadership that is energized and innovative. We need leadership that is willing to spend the political capital to make our community a better place. We need dynamism to propose large-scale, multi-million-dollar capital improvement projects that will benefit the whole community of Cinnaminson for the next 15 to 30 years. This committee is on notice. Something needs to change now within the Recreational Advisory Board, or dust-ups like the one most recently between the lacrosse club will continue. You've had 15 months to make changes. Please stop procrastinating. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Sell.
Thanks, Doug.
Hello, Board. I'm Tom Byrne, 310 Fork Landing Road. First and foremost, I'd like to thank you for your service, for everything that you do for this town. I truly do appreciate it. I understand what it takes to run a multi-million-dollar business as opposed to a town. That being said, I've been coaching lacrosse since my son was a kindergartner. He is now in 7th grade. I also coach football. I coach basketball. He plays on a club team, and my daughter also plays field hockey for Cinnaminson. I've been throughout all of South Jersey coaching opposing teams and hosting them. In years past, we've been playing at Holy Cross, and up until this point, I am extremely embarrassed by having anyone from South Jersey coming to Cinnaminson to play us in any sport. The fields are absolutely atrocious. I know it's not your fault. I know you're not to blame. I think it's a combination of a few things. But together, we could figure this out. I have offered hundreds of yards of sod to put down on the fields. My family owns a golf course that we're tearing down, and we could offer the grass. But we need to work together. So I'm willing to help. I put thousands of hours into our youth. We have 25 kids on my team that are 7th and 8th graders, and they feel like they're not worth enough to even have a nice field or grass. So I'm here fighting for them because I lose with them, I win with them. I'm a part of their team just as much as they are. And I just needed to come and voice my opinion. That's all I have.
Thank you, Mr. Byrne.
Do you mind?
No, go right ahead.
Mr. Byrne, Appreciate that you volunteer and coach. No, you can sit, it's fine. I'll tell you that I coach as well. I've served alongside president of baseball, former president who's actually here tonight. I have heard the exact opposite of what you've heard. I've got numerous emails regarding our soccer fields, our baseball fields. I coach softball, our softball fields, as well as Wood Park as a park, right? Numerous compliments, numerous, right? I've coached, you said thousands of hours? I've probably coached 10,000s of hours, okay? My kids are older, right? And that's why. I've never heard a single person disparage our parks in all those hours. Not one time. I think field space is definitely something that this committee is looking at as far as availability. Can we identify other areas, right? Because some of our fields do get overused and they don't have time to properly rest, right? But that's something that I think the mayor has addressed during her comments earlier as part of the master plan. You weren't here at that time, so I'll just, yeah, that's okay. I'll just update you on that. I take great offense, honestly, because I've spent countless hours as a volunteer working on those fields during the various sports seasons, as well as football. I coached football as well. I have never once had somebody from out of town say that our parks are not worthy of playing. I have 4 kids.
Can I ask a question?
When I'm finished, you may, sure. My son is going to be 20, went through soccer, football, and baseball. I have a daughter who is a senior, softball, soccer, and lacrosse. I have a daughter who is a junior, softball, soccer, and lacrosse. I too have a 7th grade daughter who played soccer and lacrosse, as well as softball. So I've been around every sport that is currently or formerly played in this town. And I have never once heard somebody say that our fields are, your words, not mine, atrocious. And I have never once had one of my kids say that they are embarrassed to play on any of our fields, ever, ever. You're offering sod, you're offering ways to improve the parks. That's great. I think that's great. Every park in any town could probably stand an upgrade because they get used so much, right? So if you're here to be an advocate and help, I commend that, and I think that's fantastic. What I don't like is that, hey, I'm offering my help because our parks are in such poor shape. We just undertook a major renovation to East Riverton Park. Major, right? Can we do more? We can always do more, right? In every department, right? You're always going to drive the streets and find a road that has a pothole in it, right? No matter how much we pave, stuff always happens. There's wear and tear. But to make a broad generalization that our parks are, again, your word, not mine, atrocious, I think you really should rethink that, because I think our parks are fantastic and they're beautiful. And I know our Public Works Department puts a lot of time and effort into the maintenance and the maintaining and upgrading of those parks. We recently just put in pickleball courts. I don't know if you saw those. Okay, fantastic. Right, awesome, right? So I think we've shown a real commitment to upgrading and maintaining the parks to the best of our ability. And we appreciate people coming to the meetings and giving us feedback as far as wanting to help, right? But I think, and I guess it's probably because I do take it so personally, because I have spent so much time in those parks, and I have kids that have done so much there, and I've dedicated a lot of my time and sweat equity there. To have somebody say that, for the third time, your word, not mine, they're atrocious, is really offensive.
So I understand, and Memorial is great. Wood is great.
Okay.
Right? Memorial's closed right now for soccer because the irrigation is not good. So all of the money you put into it, there's no drainage, and it holds water, which is a construction fail, which I actually know about. I do a lot of that. So unfortunately, they dropped the ball there with the drainage. But it's still a beautiful park. There's a lot going on there. We played at Holy Cross, which was horrible. Now we're at Fountain Farms.
Mm-hmm.
And I personally went there on my Sunday to line the field, right? Because it's not lined, and we'll lose home games. I almost started crying because of how bad condition that field is in.
But you do know that football plays there, right? Practice is there 5 nights a week.
And that, but they haven't in a couple, and it seems almost the last time they had a football game.
So, Mr. Byrne, your family owns a golf course, right? So you do understand, probably more than anybody in this room, including me, because I don't see anybody from Public Works here, so they probably can't speak. They would be the resident expert. Football ends in November. So that field is dormant, right, including grass, from December to March. So grass can't grow. So whatever happened during that football practice season from August to November, that's not going to remedy itself from November to March. It's winter. It can't. So I too walk Fountain Farms. And it's in bad shape. It is. But that's from the use of what happened from August to November. There's no time in the winter to fix that. Now, if you're sitting here saying, hey, I have a solution to that, because I do understand that the winter months are tough and it's not going to regenerate itself, and my family owns a golf course and we have some sod, that's a conversation that you should be having with Public Works and the administrator about how, because as far, okay, but you have to understand, right? And I'm speaking for myself. I know I'm sitting up here, so it may look like I'm representing everybody, but again, I'm trying to make sure you understand that this is a really personal issue for me, the way you said that. Coming here and saying, the parks look atrocious, I have a way to help that to me isn't a real productive dialogue. A productive dialogue probably should have been in a simple email to the administrator or maybe the liaison to Parks and Rec that says, hey, I walked because I was lining the field because we're back now, lacrosse, at Fountain Farms. I have a really good solution. I would like to talk to you about that. And perhaps we can figure out a way together. We can collaborate, because I think this committee has shown a real propensity to want to collaborate with anybody and everybody who's willing to make Cinnaminson better. Because that ultimately is the goal, right? Ultimately. And I know that is for you too. That to me would have been a much more productive way to kind of do that.
I apologize about that.
No, I get it.
As I said when I started, thank you for your service. I appreciate it. I understand this is an issue. I would like to help and be a part of, just like I am in the community and coaching everything that I do.
I got it.
I'm here on behalf of my child and my team. You know, that's it.
I get that.
I want to represent Cinnaminson to the best of my ability. You know, I've overcome a lot of adversity in my life, and specifically
I know that.
to this town to give my kids the best opportunity. And I know, unfortunately, you're right. The parks are very nice, but it just feels like lacrosse just gets no love.
So that's a different, that's a different
Right.
conversation, right? And I get that, and I get that, me personally, and I think everybody up here understands that, right? So I appreciate the dialogue, I really do.
I figured I'd just come back up since we're having dialogue now. You know, I'm going to push back.
You have to state your name and address for the record, please. You're up here for the
Doug
second
Sell,
time.
104 Cuthbert Road, again. Yeah, I'll push back. Yes, this committee has shown the ability to listen, adapt to the community, but I'm not seeing that from the Recreational Advisory Council and the leadership of Mrs. Cravel. Like I said, 15 months ago, we were here. The proposal at the time was to repeal the ordinance and eliminate the Parks and Rec Council or the Parks and Rec Board. And in 15 months, I haven't seen any proposed amendments that were apparently necessary at the time, like including a representative from Public Works, like including a representative from Public Safety. None of that's happened. I think that's a failure of leadership.
I'd like to correct
Ryan?
you on that. First off, we do have a community committee which involves those individuals that meets monthly, and our Parks and Rec coordinator sits on that and reports back to Parks and Recreation. So that subcommittee does exist and was created after that meeting 15 months ago.
All right, thank you for speaking up and educating me on that. The second thing I wanted to say was, up until this point, Ryan, you've been doing all the talking, and you're our liaison to finance. You know, Mrs. Cravel, I expect you to be answering these questions.
He was answering those questions as a parent, and he did reiterate that when he was speaking to Mr. Burns. He was speaking as a parent. He was speaking as a volunteer. He wasn't speaking as a Park and Recreation liaison. He was speaking as a resident and as a parent, and he stated that.
Sure. Again, up until this point, this is the first time, you know, we're having a dialogue with you. When I was here in 2023, I don't think you and I had any dialogue. I don't think you had any dialogue with the other members of the community that came up to speak. Ryan, I love your passion. I adore it. You have 4 kids that have gone through recreational and club programs through town. I would love to see someone with your passion, your vision, and your energy as the liaison to Parks and Rec. I know it's a pipe dream. I'm sure it'll never happen. But I would run through a brick wall for you if you did that, okay? Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Sell.
Good evening, Jamela Shepherd, speaking on behalf of the Civic Club of Riverton, East Riverton, and Palmyra. Since we're speaking about parks, the East Riverton Park was completed last year, and it is a beautiful park now. The only thing that I'm bringing up tonight is we still need to revisit the awning part. As you know, all the trees were taken down, and we have the nice tables up and the nice benches, and everything is nice. We need to have those additional 2 awnings put on the other tables because there's nothing out there but pure sun. And I think I had mentioned revisiting before, so I need you to revisit it this time. Hopefully, there's enough money to put 2 more awnings on those tables. And thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Shepherd.
Good evening, folks. Jim Francis, 804 Bellevue Avenue, Cinnaminson. I lived in the East Riverton section since 1979, and the upgrades that you just did to the park, just for the record, are the first upgrades that the East Riverton Park has ever had in the entire time that I ever lived there. Okay? So, kind of somewhat backing these guys up, but it was never addressed. The ball field was always bad. The grass got mowed, so on and so forth. We had a tennis court, but it was never really a fantastic park as far as the rest of them. And just like these gentlemen, which most of you don't know, I was involved in soccer, baseball, whatever sports we had. I had the kids that were in the sports. We played in all the fields. I even ran a soccer tournament here in Cinnaminson, back on the soccer committee. So the other three parks, the main parks were always fine, but East Riverton always did get neglected. And as far as Miss Shepherd, she's right. Those, what do you call them, coverings or whatever you have for the tables, the awnings, you really do need to have 2 more put up on them tables. Because when the sun swings around at 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock in the afternoon, that whole area is just in total sunlight. So, you know, I mean, it would make it great that you could actually use all 4 tables without getting baked. So that's my only comment. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Francis.
Madam Mayor, may I? May I?
Yes,
Just
please.
respond? So, Mr. Francis, I just wanted to, just so I'm right here. So just so I understand your comment, previously East Riverton Park was not been upgraded, but recently it has been?
Yes.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure you recognize that we.
Yes,
upgraded the park.
yes,
Okay,
you guys
gotcha.
graded it and everything. But
Gotcha.
through the years, so I mean, since 1979.
That's
it wa-
well before this committee, though, just so
Yeah,
you know that.
Right, that was well before the committee, but just still, you still had Parks and Recs, you had somebody responsible.
But just so, none of the people up on this dais were even here.
Exactly.
Some of
Got
them
it.
may not have been born
I'm
yet.
only giving you the record
Right.
that other people were involved.
I'm just saying about that.
No, and we
What's that?
understand
We
that.
understand that.
Thank you. Nope.
We understand that, which is why we paid attention to East Riverton Park. It needed the upgrades and we
Yes.
stood there, so.
Yes, but kind of, I was basically also backing up Ms. Shepherd that that part or that corner of the park could really use those 2 extra units to really set it off and make it nicer.
Got it.
Thank you.
Perfect.
Thank
Thank you,
you.
Mr. Francis.
Eric Heyman Meltzer, 117 White Birch Drive. Just to kind of second some of the things that we kind of covered tonight. I've spent a lot of time in East Riverton over the past couple of years, and I've seen the improvements, and I recognize the improvements, and I think they are valuable improvements. I definitely do think more can be done. I'm always a big fan of more natural shading. I don't know how that can be accomplished, what can be accomplished with that. I know you guys have the awnings out there. I know there needs to be 2 more awnings to help cover the rest of the tables. But, I'm always, like I said, a big fan of the natural shading of trees, the value of trees.
Obviously, we can't put a tree in the middle of
Well,
the field.
Of course, no, I'm not saying put a field in.
No,
Yeah,
we
of course,
did.
I'm not saying put a.
Yeah, we added trees.
Yeah, I'm not saying put a tree in the middle of the field right there. I'm saying, more towards maybe towards the edge or something like that, maybe more tree-related programs in town. Always think it could be an improvement.
Sure.
I know it was touched on about in Memorial Field, the flooding issue. That environmental stuff is my, bread and butter. That whenever somebody brings that up, light bulb goes off in the back of my head. And I definitely think that should be included when talking about the stormwater management plan. I know that there's been conversation about that being upgraded. At least according to the Cinnaminson website on there currently, it said it was last updated in 2006. I don't know if that is accurate, but that's what it says on there. I was 4 years old at the time and wasn't even living in town yet. But I definitely think that when we look at the stormwater management plan, regardless of when it was last updated or what improvements need to continue being made, I definitely think it needs to be looked at, especially Memorial Field, because I know how close to the river it is right there. And, as we get more powerful storms, we're going to see more rising waters. I've had conversations with people out directly on the Delaware, not in the harbor, but in Zeisner Avenue around there, where they're dealing with 5-foot storm surges and having to repair their basements every 7 months, something like that. And it's just not sustainable, both environmentally and personally, because they said they love this town, but they're kind of feeling the monetary pressure on that. And yeah, that's all I have. And I second Mayor Cravel, how you talk about Women's History Month, and appreciate all the contributions women have had for this town, past, current, and future. Thank you very much, everybody.
Thank you very much.
Hey, Eric.
Thank you,
Real
Eric.
quick, we did plant trees in the East Riverton Park. It's just going to take them a while to grow.
Oh, yeah.
We're right next to that picnic area.
Good,
But we'll
good.
probably get the awning before the trees grow.
As well as one that's eventually going to grow and shade that whole
Yeah.
picnic area.
Yeah, and I'm just saying, I love trees. Gotta love the trees,
Yep,
especially
yep.
more along Union Landing, all that area.
Sure.
All right, thank you very much.
Yep,
guys.
you got it.
Thank you.
Chris Sinilovich, 712 Barberry Drive. We need turf fields. not just to play on, but to practice on. All these problems are because we're overusing our fields. You can't expect a field to get 2 seasons in a row without recovery. It's going to cost money. My kids are too old. They're never going to see them from this town. A lot of your kids are too old. We need turf. Because I'm going to ask you one question. Name me a town around here that doesn't have a turf field or doesn't have plans on implementing turf fields. Can you tell me who?
Riverton, maybe?
Riverton and Riverside. Those are the 2 towns that I know of that don't have either plans to put in turf or have turf fields in them. You got Mount Laurel just put 2 more fields on Moore Highway. I know turf fields, there's safety concerns and stuff like this, but the new turf is better than ever. That's what you need, 1. 2, I'm not on any boards anymore or anything like that. I would simply say, what is the expectation that our field should be and what kind of condition? That's all. Some of the fields are in very poor condition and they need to be evaluated and they need to be brought up to a certain standard. The other thing that I think Mr. Gill mentioned was stuff has happened in a long time ago, and I think there needs to be, everybody needs to know what's going on. At Fountain Farms, there was irrigation put in there and not used because somebody said they didn't know about it, they didn't work, all the above. That was paid for by the football program and a donation by Young's to put that irrigation in there, and it hasn't been utilized. The last thing I would say, if it was my company and Public Works reported to me, there would be some eliminations of jobs. The quality that is put out there is poor, and I'll give you an example. All the trees that were planted at Ravenswood Park recently, does everybody know about them? They've been cut down. Why? Because they were installed wrong. They died. If it was me, I would subcontract most of this stuff out and hold someone accountable. There's no reason a field should burn up because someone didn't turn the irrigation on. That would be liquidated damages to a contractor. They would have to resod that field. We need turf fields. That would eliminate a lot of the problems with also lights. So, thank you.
Real quick.
Thank you.
Yes, Chris.
As far as the trees, I don't know about the trees. at
Ravenswood.
Yeah, I'm not aware of those, but
The bottom of the tree bases were not unburlapped and they strangled. And the bark unrooted. I have pictures of it. The other thing is, like, when you guys make dirt, I understand you have to do it for grants or bonds or whatever it is, but we should look at partnering up with another city to process our leaf waste. It would lower our cost and give us more land. That's where you put the turf fields, where those leaf piles are against the municipality. Then you have power there, you have access there, you have parking there, you have an easement coming in and out. That would be the easiest place to put a turf field, in my opinion, where they have the leaf compost at. Some of that land was donated to Walmart, but
Chris, the brush yard, the township doesn't own that.
well, who owns it?
We lease that as an area to put our brush.
But who? We gave property to Walmart when they moved into Walmart because they didn't have enough easement.
You're talking about the brush yard?
Talking about, yeah, there's Walmart, the leaf composting facility,
What's
and
that?
then the municipal.
Yeah. Taylor's Farm? Yeah. Yeah, but the township doesn't own the brush yard.
Who owns it? We just rent it? Why are we paying money to rent?
We lease that space.
But that doesn't make any sense.
Where else would you?
Mayor, may I? How many turf fields would you like in town?
2.
Just 2?
2 fields.
Okay. Okay, anybody got a 4? Anybody got a 5?
Well,
'Cause that's where we're going.
The problem is, when I say 2, I would say like Cherry Hill has on Chapel, where you can put 2 fields, and then if it's a larger field, then they can combine it to 1.
Right.
We just don't have enough space, right? Like, that's the problem here. We don't have enough land. We can't create any more land. we are landlocked. I mean, even ER, we're landlocked. We're landlocked. Even Fountain Farms is not big enough for a turf field. The only place is Memorial, but you have, if they're maintained, good fields that are natural. So I wouldn't say let's take a natural field and convert it. We should look into a place that doesn't have a field right now. Or the other place that I would say, and it's not utilized, that hill on the middle school on the left-hand side, that's not being utilized because it's on a slant. If you put a retaining wall along that property line, level that out, you could put a full track in there.
So I know, Chris, Eric, I think was it last year? We did have a collaborative call with the school district to kind of look at the topic that you're bringing up. I know that because I was on the call. So we are.
I'm not saying take a field that's in existence and turn it into turf. I think that'd be a waste of space. I think we should look at what space is available to put turf in there.
Yeah, so we've had kind of shared with the school, right? Because the middle school's got some areas. The high school clearly has some space that, gets underutilized. The football stadium and all that only gets used for football, and that's it, right?
The football stadium, it's not a legitimate track, so then it's too small.
Yeah.
Then you're looking at easements, and then you have wetlands, so the high school would only work if you went into the baseball field. And why would you want to take a baseball field?
Or out on Riverton Road, right? So, I mean, look, the summary
I hear
of
you
that
guys.
is
I'm just saying, like,
we've definitely
turf,
thought about
we
that.
need to figure out, because we are the only town without turf.
Brian, you mind?
Turf,
I've worked in Palmyra, Public Works, and we've dealt with turf fields. Turf field is as much work as it is the regular grass fields.
I'm not saying it's
There
not.
is a lot.
It has maintenance, but you can go on it.
You're right, but there's a lot of cost.
I'm not. You're going to spend 1.4, 1.7,
At least.
2.4 million
At least.
in a total turf.
And you have to replace them after a certain amount of years too. They're not forever.
Listen, nothing has a forever
Right.
life tag. I'm not saying that, but our kids in sports are going to get farther and farther behind the rest of these communities because we don't have places to practice. You just don't have enough. And I'll say it here. None of my kids play on Cinnaminson teams because there's not enough quality. So we have to go outwhere. I would rather spend that $10,000 a year in taxes and pay for turf or something. It'd be less driving for me.
Just to clarify, Chris, you're not saying they go outside in quality because the parks aren't nice. It's because of the teams aren't as good, right?
You need good quality to recruit kids.
Right?
I mean,
right?
No one's going to
asking
play.
you.
Listen, playing.
By the way, our daughters play on
playing on senior
team,
night
so.
at Memorial was a disgrace.
What's that? I didn't hear you.
Playing senior night for the girls under the lights at Memorial was a disgrace. That field is horrible.
For soccer?
For soccer.
Yeah, but Chris, it was at the end of the season. It's been beat up.
Because we didn't water it because someone put fertilizer down and burned it
No,
up.
that wasn't it.
Chris,
Two pumps.
You're in the business. You know this. So what you're saying, is not necessarily
It got overused.
factual. Exactly.
Yeah.
Right.
But,
Okay.
But if that field only has a certain amount of time on it, it would be better.
Yeah.
I'm just saying.
Got it. Understood.
Turf
Thank you
fields.
very much.
That's what it is.
Thank you.
You got it. Thank you.
I'm not a turf guy.
I know.
Forgot one more thing, and I'll repeat my name. I know, yeah.
You
I know.
have to.
Yeah. Eric Heyman Melcher, 117 White Birch Drive.
Thanks, Eric.
And I know you guys touched on that you guys will be looking at the budget, obviously, soon enough.
yeah.
And I just wanted to kind of emphasize the importance of the Public Works budget and Parks and Recreation budget. I just want to know if you guys know, I don't know if you have any idea how much is going to be appropriated this year, but I want to know if there's going to be increases to both departments, if you know. I hate to see, especially all this conversation about the fields and all that stuff, to see some of that budget go down, which I know it has in the past for various reasons. So do you guys know off the top of your head if those will go up, or even if a little bit more, anything like that?
I don't think we reduced the tax rate. We've been
Not tax
stable,
rate,
no
not
tax increases for 8 years, but we
Yeah.
haven't reduced it.
Yeah.
As far as I know, maybe 1 year.
Yeah. But I just want to make sure, emphasize the importance of that. Those departments are
So the
going to keep
budget-
on getting appropriated a good
Mayor,
amount of money.
may I? The budget
Yeah.
will be presented May 19th, Ms. Edmondson, I think. So we'll have our full proposal to share all that information with you then. We're developing it now.
Absolutely. Awesome. Thank you.
Yep.
And I just want to kind of summarize what we've all been talking about. Yeah, it kind of goes to show the importance of the environment. And, when people hear about the environment, they think of, the ice caps melting and big storms happening across the world. But it really comes down to what's going on the local level. And it kind of goes to show how it kind of touches every part of the community, that the importance of local environment touches public infrastructure, quality of life, quality of education, that kind of thing. So I just want to keep on emphasizing the importance of the local environment, and that what you need to do, there are things being done, but there can always be gaps to be filled and more that can always be done. And that's the last thing I have for tonight. Thank you very much, everybody.
Thanks,
Thank
Eric.
you.
Appreciate it, Eric.
We can shut this down.
Jim Francis, 804 Bellevue Avenue. I know the budget's coming up, and the question was asked last year. Is there any look at a sidewalk continuance from Hunter's Farm out to Route 130 towards Walmart? Has anything been discussed, or have we looked at any part of that? I know you wanted to, there was a plan that you were trying to develop, like an overall plan for safe walkways and all that in the beginning, but I think we shouldn't wait for that part. I think we should look at getting this sidewalk, a completed sidewalk, at least from Hunter's Farm out to Walmart or out to Route 130. Because there is a lot of foot traffic and bicycle traffic, and a lot of people do not put clear clothing, but they dress dark like me. So I almost hit somebody the other day going up. It just happened to be and it was during the day. And I'm going up the hill and the sun's in my face, and they were totally dressed in black. And they were just walking along the side of the road. And I'm like, oh my God, it would have ended my day. But it's just, it's going to continue on, and somewhere, we just got to keep bringing it up, but somewhere somebody's going to get hurt one day. We're just fortunate that it has not happened, but please, I would, and most of the East Riverton group is left, and they would also feel the same way. So if we could get some type of discussion or look at it or figure it out for the budget, it would be great.
Yep.
And
We
Mr. Francis,
are-
that's, I'm sorry.
No, go right ahead, Mr. Conley,
Go
you
ahead.
started, go right ahead.
That's something that is discussed every meeting, specifically with the East Riverton group. It's moving, and I believe we are waiting on funding for it.
It's approved.
It's approved.
It is approved?
Go ahead.
Okay.
Eric,
You
take
can
that.
give
So
a
just to
timeline.
let you know,
Yeah.
the sidewalk from Hunter's Farm to the Walmart, it had certainly not been forgotten, and the wheels are turning a little slower than everyone would like, but they are turning.
I've always said the wheels of justice turn slow, but they usually come around.
Mayor, if I may.
Yes.
Please.
Thank you for bringing this to our attention. We can't agree with you more. In fact, as we stated at the last meeting, I know you were unable to make it, we secured a grant from the state in excess of $1 million to do just what you're referencing. As we sit here tonight and you're standing, it is with the state because they need to review the design and the scope that our engineer has created for that project. As soon as we get the comments back, hopefully sooner than later, we're going to be able to go out to bid and then pursue that project. I'm not going to give you a date, but it's going to be done very soon.
Just to
We are
comfort
all in
that
agreement.
it's
We are all in
motion
agreement.
Would be, just the idea that it's in motion is.
And the reason it
comforting.
goes to the state is because we received over $1 million of grant money for that, so
Okay.
that's why they have to review it.
Is this a township road or a county road?
Yes,
Union
Union Lane Road's township.
Township, okay.
Thank you, Mr. Francis.
Thank you, Mr.
Thank you,
Francis.
Mr. Francis.
Waited to the end.
Mike Goins, 100 Pal. On the parks, I think in general, the pocket parks are the ones that have been neglected, type of thing, other than the playground equipment that nobody spent. But I'll say, none of the parks have the coverings that East Riverton has. They're all out in the sun. So, if you start doing it for one, I think you got to start doing it for all of them then. That's my comment.
Thank you, Mr. Goins.
Thank you, Michael.
Okay. All right. Seeing no one else come forward, I'll make a motion to close public comment. May I have a second?
I'll second that, Madam Mayor.
Voice vote, please.
Aye.
Nays, abstentions, public comment is closed. Do we have any comment from committee this evening?
Nothing from me.
Madam Mayor, nothing from this end, thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mr.
That
Conlon.
includes me.
You're good, okay. He spoke for you? Okay. Mr. Horner?
Madam Mayor, I just have one comment. I would actually like to commend the Department of Public Works and the work that they do every single day. It's clearly one of the more visible departments in the township because they do so much, right? So, I would like, Kevin's not here, but I'd like to tell him, I'd like the public to know, and I'd certainly like it for the record, that I think our Public Works Department, from top to bottom, does a fantastic job. Not to say that they do everything, or we don't do everything perfectly, but I think by and large, they do a fantastic, fantastic job.
Thank you.
Well said.
Thank you, Mr. Horner. Okay, may I have a motion to adjourn the meeting?
I can make a motion to adjourn the meeting, Madam Mayor.
May I have a second?
I will second that.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Conda. Voice vote, please. Aye.
Aye.
Nays, abstentions. Okay, the meeting is adjourned. Next meeting is Monday, April 7th at 6:30.
Yeah, I just